David Dobrik has finally returned to YouTube. A man has been shot and killed while filming a robbery prank. JoJo Siwa has shared the first photos of her and her girlfriend, and that's all the news you'll get today. All this, plus I'll show you a really great homemade shampoo recipe using only essential oils, vanilla extract, and Gorilla Glue on this week's edition of YouTuber News. Hosted by me, Benedict Townsend, and brought to you by PopBuzz, the only website that's funded by its very own cryptocurrency, BuzzCoin, which is worth approximately 8 Dogecoins, or 15 100ths of a penny. I'll take 10. Our first story, David Dobrik has finally returned to YouTube with a tour of his crazy house. Now, David has been MIA from YouTube for a significant amount of time now, being absent for the best part of 2020. Remember 2020? I choose not to. Because the COVID situation made it, in his words, quote, basically impossible to film the stuff we would normally want to film. It makes sense, this is a guy who made a name for himself with vlogs where he would almost exclusively travel to a variety of places and hang out with large groups of people. It doesn't have the same effect if it's just him in his house eating cereal or whatever. But now he's back on his second channel, but it still counts, and he's ready to show off his new pad. And needless to say, this house is huge, as you'd expect, and it sports a fruit punch fountain. That's a fountain just for fruit punch, a podcast studio, a movie theater room, a swimming pool, all the stuff you'd expect. Now sadly, David didn't just move house for the extra perks. The main reason for moving was actually to get away from all the stalkers who had repeatedly been turning up at his house, as we've reported on this very show. It got to the point where so many strangers were turning up at his front door that David feared for his safety and he had to move. But hopefully he'll find some more peace and privacy in his new crazy mansion. Of course, he could just do what, rich people like I have done, just buy a very small nation, and then you can live in that nation by yourself. West Liechtenstein, I hardly knew ye. The best part is as well, when you buy a nation, you get to rewrite the national anthem to be about you. And one day I will sing that anthem, but not today. Our second story, a YouTuber has been shot and killed while trying to film some kind of robbery prank video. A 20-year-old YouTuber named Timothy Wilkes was shot and killed last week while trying to film a so-called robbery prank. According to police, Wilkes and an unnamed friend allegedly walked up to a group of people holding butcher knives. They were holding the butcher knives, not the group of people, intending to stage a fake robbery for a YouTube video. Wilkes was then shot by a local man named David Starnes Jr., who claimed he fired in self-defense and said he was unaware that it was a prank. Oh, hello, Suki. Quite a serious story. Maybe you want to come back when things are a bit lighter. That's our special reporter, Suki. And, you can kind of see where he's coming from here, because, this isn't a prank. Suki, please, a man has died. You can kind of see where he's coming from here, because that isn't really a prank, it's just a person walking towards you with a knife. The police seem to agree because Starnes Jr. is currently not facing any charges for the fatal shooting, although they are investigating his claim of self-defense, as they have to. Now, as you may know, as a long-time viewer, we have a segment on this show called That's Not How Pranks Work, What Are You Talking About? And that sentiment, it seems appropriate here, although I don't want to make light of the fact that a person has lost their life. It's incredibly sad that this has happened, but I just want to emphasize, again, as I have so many times, I would say too many times on this show, it's not a prank if you're just doing a crime. And if you're just doing something extremely dangerous and calling it a prank, that doesn't make it less dangerous. Calling something a prank won't protect you. Just because you have a camera there, people won't know it's a prank. Please just be more careful, people, and please stop scaring other people when you're doing pranks. My thoughts go to this person's friends and family. It's a horrible loss, but let's all try and make sure this doesn't happen again in future. Our third story, JoJo Siwa has shared some photos of her new girlfriend. As we recently discussed, JoJo Siwa has not only come out, but also revealed she has a girlfriend, who she called, quote, the most amazing, wonderful, perfect, most beautiful girlfriend in the whole world. And now Siwa has shared some photos of her girlfriend for the very first time, and revealed that they were actually best friends for over a year before they became a couple. Posting on Instagram, she said, quote, after being my best friend for over a year, January 8th, 2021, I got to start calling this exceptional human my girlfriend. Since then, I've been the happiest I've ever been. She seriously is the most loving, supportive, happiest, protective, and just the most beautiful, perfect person in the world, and I get to call her mine. Happy 1 month to my girl. I love you more and more every day. So, unclear how she feels about her girlfriend. I would guess somewhat positive. The accompanying photos show the pair at a theme park, posing together, singing together in a car, and just generally having a very nice time. good for them. Also, it shows them wearing masks while they're out and about, which is also nice to see. Wear your masks, people. Congratulations to JoJo on just being very happy right now, and I'd also like to thank her for giving me a positive thing to cover on YouTuber News. And with that, we come to the end of our stories and on to everyone's favourite segment. It's time for Comment of the Week, and last time round I did something a little bit different. I put a question out there to you. I asked you, what's the biggest thing you've ever seen? A question that I quickly came to realise was a very dangerous thing to ask you freaks, but I got a lot of interesting answers, and I'd like to read some of them out right now. These are from our YouTube comments. Please always remember that you're allowed to leave comments. It's allowed, it's actually free, and we encourage it, and we read all the comments. Or at least the laughing lady does. Zoe Leach says, the largest thing I've ever seen is a factory that makes factories. That's ridiculous, Zoe. That doesn't exist. You can't have a factory make you How big would that be? Only a fool would come up with the concept of a factory that makes other factories. They're made in little bits and assembled later. What are you talking about? Oh, what a clown. Ariane, and then a surname I'll admit I don't know how to pronounce, says, the largest thing I've ever seen is Benedict's dedication to the rat. To the rat's downfall, more like. Rebecca Tull, who I'm pretty sure is an alternative account of the laughing lady, says, the largest thing I've ever seen was the need for the laughing lady to get a raise. Nice try. Laughing lady. Nice try.
I'm laughing.
Lime B says, the largest thing I've ever seen was a documentary made by Shane Dawson. Very good, very good. Nice little throwback to one of our 6 jokes we make on this show. Madiosaurus says, the biggest thing I've ever seen is the timeline to Dan Howell Watch. Must be some kind of wristwatch. I'm not familiar with that. Sounds long. Sounds incredibly long. And finally, Katie Disney, possibly the heir to the Disney fortune, says, I'm thinking about We the Unicorns. Do you remember that? No, Katie. No, I don't. This has been the comment thing. Wow, great comments. Large objects, I enjoyed it. And so it falls upon me to come up with a conundrum for next week's episode. And so this week I'll ask you, who is the most famous person you've never met? I want to get some real good stories out of this one. Get your answers in on the YouTube comments and they may well be read out by, well, me. Bonadonk Timsund. And with that, we come to the end of another installment of YouTuber News. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for watching this episode. It brings me such joy. I'll be back next week with a new episode of Quick Bites Bite. And of course, another full episode of YouTuber News at the end of next week. And there'll be a brand new episode of the YouTuber News podcast next week. Aren't you just the lucky little duck that you're getting all this fun content? Look after yourselves. Have a great time. Subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great time. Subscribe if you haven't already, either by hitting subscribe on YouTube or by swiping up on the last snap of this story. Subscribing is, of course, the best way to get... I feel like I'm threatening you. Let me put that down. Let me just... It's, of course, the best way to get brand new episodes of YouTuber News, and also the best way to be the first, or maybe that's a bit too generous, at least the 5th, to hear all the latest breaking YouTube news stories. Until then, I'd like to invite Suki back onto the show for our big cat finale. She was really comfortable over there. I feel bad, actually. Welcome to the cat finale, everyone. Suki, anything you want to say to the boys and girls? Yeah. Do you want me to tell them? Okay. She says subscribe to YouTube News.